The magic words. There we
Roxanne, just so you know, I cannot see.
And it now says live. So are we ready to begin? Wait, I have to get rid of this continue, I guess. Yeah. Okay, we're all here. So I will call to order the regular Park Board meeting of the Park District of Highland Park on Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021 at 6:02 p.m. Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Roxanne, are you there?
Uh-oh, can no one hear me?
We did not hear you.
Okay. Commissioner Bernstein,
Here.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Here.
Commissioner Freeman. Jen?
It was just you.
She was just there.
Well, I can see she's here.
Here.
We got
Here.
you.
Yes, we.
Here. Can you hear me? Here.
Yes.
Here. Okay. Hi.
Vice President Grossberg
Here.
and President Ruttenberg.
I'm here as well. We have all of the commissioners present. Executive Director Romes, are there any additions to the agenda?
No additions.
And do we have anybody from the public who is logged on?
There are 2 attendees. I do not see their names, but there are 2 attendees. So
then I will read the regulations for public comment just to have it in there. Pursuant to policy number 2.06.14 of the Park District Policy Manual, the board has adopted and approved the following rules for public comment. Each person or representative is limited to speak one time only, unless the board president or presiding officer determines that allowing a speaker to address the board more than once will contribute new information germane to an issue on the agenda for that meeting. All comments from the public will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The board or presiding officer reserves the right to suspend or limit the length of time public comment may occur without prior notice. 3, no debate or cross-examination of speakers is permitted. The comment should be directed to the Park Board of Commissioners only. And 4, all comments must be civil in nature. Any person who engages in threatening, slanderous, or disorderly behavior when addressing the board may result in loss of speaking privilege and possible removal from the meeting. Anyone wishing to speak will need to use the raise hand function in Zoom to indicate that they would like to speak. The board secretary will call on registrants who have activated the raise hand feature in alphabetical order. Executive Director Romes, is there anyone from the public attending this meeting who wishes to speak and provide public comment?
Roxanne, can you confirm if anybody has their hand raised? I cannot see.
Unfortunately, I cannot see it either, just with the screens I have right now. Dan
Dan?
Johnson, can you see?
Carissa Coons has her hand raised.
Oh, I can
Okay.
change views and see. Hang on.
There you go. Barney, Carissa?
Yes, if I will call upon Carissa to speak if she'd like to.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you all today. And the ability to raise my questions, I guess, / concerns related to the Park District's youth protection policies, procedures, and just overall standards of care with regard to abuse prevention. And I do want to start by saying that our family is a huge fan of the Park District's youth programs, from park school to athletic programs. You know, we've been very pleased with our experience and especially impressed with how it's handled the evolution of COVID and just generally with the quality of programming that you offer. We're very grateful and it's been very valuable. That being said, and as someone who has children involved in the Park District programs and also a background in youth protection, I have observed what seem to be some gaps and some risks with the Park District's current youth protection efforts, and primarily with regard to abuse prevention, that side of youth protection. I was happy to learn, of course, that there are some requirements in place, like mandated reporting, background checks, but these are all minimum requirements that don't necessarily prevent abuse from being perpetrated in an organizational setting like this one. So I would be curious to know what other policies and procedures might be in place to address things like grooming behaviors, and what is the park district's response to violations of policies, and just generally how compliance is being monitored. And with that, I guess my question slash a suggestion is whether the park district has conducted a comprehensive review of its youth protection efforts recently. And if not, would strongly urge and recommend that one be done. If nothing else, to benchmark the park district against its peers and the current standards of care for a youth serving organization. Maybe even perhaps bringing in a consultant to conduct that review and identify some gaps and risks and make recommendations to improve safeguarding for the benefit of the minors that you serve, and also to mitigate risk to the park district. And I'm happy to help with that if I can. On the other hand, if the park district does find that it exceeds the standard of care, then I would suggest that the park district create some information or opportunities for parents to know what kind of measures are in place and be assured that the park district is definitely meeting that standard of care. So I think I've used my 3 minutes, and again, would be happy to help out where I can, and would be willing to connect if the park district feels like this is a priority, as I do.
Brian, could I suggest that you connect with Carissa? Did I pronounce it? It's Carissa?
Yep, it is.
That you connect with her and discuss this in greater detail. And then to the extent there's an issue, we can have it as a matter for the policy committee.
Absolutely. We'll do that. I will put my email in the chat, or Carissa, you could tell me your email either way. But I will add my email, and you can email me your information. I'd be happy to get back in contact with you.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you very much for your questions.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that has indicated they want to speak?
No, Joe does not have his hand raised.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your questions and your comments. At this point, I would like to entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to this following section of the Open Meetings Act, Section 2C5, the purchase or lease of real estate, including discussion on whether a certain parcel of property should be acquired. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
It'll get us there sooner, I'll second it.
All right. Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bernstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg, Terry,
Sorry, I was talking that whole time. Yes.
and President Ruttenberg.
I vote yes also, so we will go into closed session. In order to enter into closed session, the park board and staff will need to exit this meeting and join the meeting link, which Roxanne just shared, ?
I'm sending it right now.
And after close, the board will return to this link and resume to open session.
President Ruttenberg,
Yes,
I have a suggestion. I know that we have, let's see, how many people from the public here?
2.
Two. Would you let them know, is there any way we can get either email address or something, we can contact them when we come out of closed session, so they don't have to sit around waiting for us to finish with the close?
Yes, if they could just in the chat provide their email contact, we could do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I think Roxanne is going to stay on the open session in case there was someone else who registered. So she'll be there. This won't be checked down. We're just leaving for closed session and entering into another closed session.
So just for technicality, what do I do?
You will leave the meeting and you will enter the closed session link that Roxanne sent. All board
To
members,
where? Sent to where?
should be sent to your email. So you might want to
Roxanne?
I don't have it.
Okay, guys, I'm in the middle of sending it right now.
Oh,
The
sorry.
email is going to come directly from me. It's not going to come from the technology department. So give me just a second and you guys will have everything you need. And yes, I'm going to stay in open session as Brian said.
Okay, so just to review, so we're gonna go into another Zoom meeting that will be closed, and then we'll leave that one and come back to this one.
correct.
You are
Okay.
correct, yeah.
So for right now, we go to the leave that's at the bottom right-hand corner.
Got it.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm leaving the meeting now.
Go
Thank you.
right ahead because the invitation's coming right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Uh-oh, I might not be able. I can't leave and start the new one.
Roxanne, you're gonna have to just leave the meeting.
So for me, I can't.
You're gonna have to
stay
leave
on
it to
both.
start it, yes.
So it's saying I have to leave and start.
Maybe just leave and then start it and then go back.
Okay.
continue. I think that we are all here. Yes, we are. Very good. Is there a motion to reconvene into open session? Or did we do that? No. No, we did that. We're back in open session. Do we need to do more other than say we are back in open session at 6:30 p.m.?
Brian, you're on mute.
Oh, that's okay. That's all you needed, Barney.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So there is no action from the closed session at this point. So we'll go to the consent agenda.
Well, Barney, before you
I'm
go,
sorry.
do we alert the attendees that we're back in open session?
Oh,
Pete, they see us.
No, but they may not be here. They might.
I can send emails to them right now because they had left. So I'm contacting them now and letting them know they're more than welcome to rejoin.
Okay, thank you.
You're
But I
welcome.
think we can proceed with the consent agenda.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be
Okay,
fair
now
for them.
that you are. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second,
Roxanne? Well, she's busy. Brian, you want to call the roll?
I could do it. Commissioner Bernstein,
aye.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
Aye as well. Motion is carried. Financial forecast, Director Peters.
Okay, good evening. Let me pull up my screen. And okay, there we go. All right, so good evening. And we have our 2021 financial forecast and treasurer's report for the period ended May 31st, 2021. And we are going to start off with our operations cash flow projections. Keep in mind our fund balance reserve policy that we discuss every month is about $4.1 million versus what we have budgeted for our cash on hand at year end is $12 million. And based on actual operations through May, put together with our projections for the rest of the year, we anticipate cash on hand at year end to be about 15.2 million. So both what we're projecting and what our original budget was, they well exceed what the board policy is. So we look good there. And what is behind supporting those cash flow numbers are these operational figures that we're looking at right now. We can see that our revenues are substantially greater than where we had budgeted them to be. And we can see that our actual expenses are substantially less than what we had budgeted them to be, which gives us a net surplus of about $2.7 million better than where we had anticipated being at the end of May. Now, I do want to point out one thing with this $2.7 million number. We did receive about $500,000 more in property taxes than we had anticipated receiving in May, because if you recall last year, Lake County had deferred when taxes were due, and so that is the way we had budgeted, but they did not in fact extend deadlines this year, and so it's a timing difference. But really, when you look at this number, it should be more like 2.2 million, just to be able to compare apples to apples. So we've got that in that number. A couple other things to point out in this number. Well, payroll is substantially under budget to the tune of about $360,000, which we'll take a closer look at in a few moments. We've got Rosewood Beach far exceeding their budgeted bottom line by $138,000. Golf is at $367,000 greater than where we anticipated them to be at the end of May. Tennis is at $230,000 better than what we had budgeted for. And then we also have roughly another $250,000 of property taxes in here. If you recall, we received property taxes at the beginning of 2021 that related back to 2020, but they are here to stay in this year. So that's how we got to where we are. And I would also say to you that this $2.2 million is very equal to where we had anticipated being at the end of the year. If we look at each fund individually, we're going to see the same thing here with the general fund. Our revenues are coming in significantly higher than where we budgeted them. expenses are coming in significantly lower than where we had budgeted them. Again, when we look at just the general fund, we're almost at $1 million surplus where we originally had budgeted to be. Again, we have the same timing difference with taxes because of the way we budgeted. So we had budgeted about $267,000 in taxes and a timing difference that would affect this number here, which would knock it down to about $700,000, but still the general fund is operating at about $700,000 better than where we had expected it to be at May 31st. Again, same thing, we have significant reduction in payroll versus what we had originally budgeted. And then we do have $127,000 extra of property taxes in here that were related to 2020. If we go to the recreation fund, we're going to see more of the same. Again, our revenues are far greater than where we budgeted them to be. And our expenses are substantially less than where we had budgeted them to be. So again, that gives us a surplus of about $1.7 million versus the original budget. Again, we do have a bit of a timing difference to the tune of about $250,000 in taxes, which would make this amount a little bit less than $1.5 million. However, it still looks really good. Again, we had anticipated not having revenues exceed expenses until the end of June, and we had already accomplished that back in April. Things again sitting in the rec fund that are driving the surplus that we're seeing here. We have the prior year taxes from 2020 that came through to the tune of $120,000. We have significantly reduced payroll. Again, Rosewood Beach, golf and tennis, well over $600,000 that are helping to drive this bottom line that we're looking at. If we go to the special recreation fund, we can see we're pretty much trending on track. Again, the surplus that we're showing here, $12,000 is due to the timing difference and should clear up by the end of June. And then the other $18,000 are those taxes from 2020 that came into this fund. And then we see the same thing with the debt service fund, the $113,000 surplus. Again, that's a $78,000 timing difference due to taxes coming in May versus the budget in June. And then the residual, about $40,000, are 2020 taxes that came in 2021. When we look at capital, we can see again, we've got the OSLAD grant waiting to be used. Each month, we get a little bit more headed into actual revenue being pulled out of deferred revenue as we do more and more work utilizing the OSLAD funds. As far as our budgeted capital expenses versus where we're actually at, again, we've got projects running slower than anticipated. Some projects have not been completed. Some are just slow to be invoiced and paid. And so there's a myriad of things going on there that get us to this less expenditure than we had originally anticipated as of the end of May. When we look at payroll, we can see that our actual payroll is about $2.7 million versus the budget of about $3 million. So here's our payroll savings that we talked about in the past few slides there. We are under budget in payroll at the end of May to the tune of about $362,000. If we want to look at the non-cumulative monthly payroll, we're seeing the same sort of thing for the month of May. We came in at $589,000 versus the budget of $718,000. So just for the month of May, we came in under budget to the tune of about $128,000. And so in conclusion, if you recall, in January of 2021, Park District programs and facilities were either partially closed or canceled due to COVID mitigation efforts. Since then, the Park District was able to significantly adjust expenses, especially payroll, to the tune of $362,000 below budget, resulting in $2.2 million above budgeted net revenue after considering property tax timing differences. Additionally, 60% of all eligible Illinois population has had at least one COVID vaccination shot. Positivity rates are less than 1%, and Illinois has entered phase 5. And we have seen significant increases in both spring and summer registrations. And then finally, for the period ended May 31st, 2021, tennis has a surplus of $230,000 more than its budget. Golf is at $367,000 more than its original budget. Rosewood Beach is at $138,000 more than its budget. 2020 property taxes that will stay in 2021 revenue are at $247,000 more than the budget. And we also have deferred sitting out there at roughly $1.8 million. So in fact, at May 31st, too, all cost centers are now operating at a surplus at month end. And all of this places the Park District in a very favorable financial position. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Chairman of the Finance Committee.
I don't have any questions. We spent a lot of time at the last meeting discussing these numbers. Again, I just want to thank the staff for helping usher the district through a very difficult time, and looks like we're coming out of as we hopefully exit COVID, that we're in a favorable financial situation. And just to reiterate what I discussed with our executive director earlier today, is that now that we kind of know where we are and how we've handled COVID, I'm looking forward to, as we re-engage and review our 5-year capital plan, and look forward to making a lot of different improvements all throughout the district. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to the staff.
Thank you, Cal. Brian Kaplan.
Comments. Thank you.
Okay. Jen.
Sorry, mute was tough there. No questions, but thank you so much. I, have been a commissioner for 6 weeks now and have attended the finance meetings and also this, and I just think it's such a thorough update and really great information and very instructive for me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Terry.
I want to double down on what Jen just said. Having not been to the last few, it is very helpful to see this. I do have a question. Like, if I was in a boardroom for a business and I was seeing this, I would be obviously very pleased. You like to see the green going up and the red going down or whatever like that. But does it present any special challenges to the district to, I understand why we budgeted the way we budgeted. So now we are where we are. What special challenges does this present to us now that we could see the direction our budget is going?
So first of all, I just want to remind us that we budgeted for phase 4,
right,
and we are in fact in phase 5. So that,
right,
I guess it's not it doesn't address your question. It doesn't give us a problem. Maybe the only problem would be at the end of the year is when we go to, if we keep the pace of where we are, or it gets even better. The question at the end of the year obviously would be, then how much do we want to transfer out of the funds into the capital fund, right? Because we also budgeted our transfers based on being in phase 4 instead of phase 5. And I think when the auditors were on Signage last time, they didn't really call attention. They were comfortable with all of our fund balances, except for maybe special recreation. But we did have a substantial payment out of that fund right after the first of the year, and we knew that was coming. So that would be the only thing that, depending on where we are with the pandemic and how things are looking, is just really coming up with what the transfers would be at the end of the year. To me, but anyone else can chime into that. To me, that would be one of the more things we would have to really focus on at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'll just add a few things to that, Terry. I think, just a reminder, we did defer a lot of capital projects in effort to ensure that we were maintaining a healthy fund balance. And so as a result, we are exceeding what we budgeted, which is good, keeps us in a healthy spot. But we obviously do have some capital projects that were deferred that we have to take a closer look at. Also, I think operationally, our biggest challenge is keeping up now because we budgeted for phase 4, including staffing. And so now we're in, phase 5, and we're having a really hard time keeping up with the demand. And we're having a really hard time hiring new staff. It's one of the challenges you'll see across a lot of industries, and Park districts are included. And I think that we know minimum wage is going up, but also we know we've seen that the market for what salaries are demanding for certain positions is kind of going up. And we do have our own internal compensation survey coming up next year, so there will be likely some recommended adjustments just based on benchmarking with other districts and such. So I would just add those and say, fortunately, we're in a fantastic spot, but for good reason to keep us going strong into the future. So.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that this was a forward-looking question. I'm not questioning anything we did in the past to get us here because, well, we were all a part of that, so who would I be to criticize? And also, obviously, it's turned out very much in our favor, and the planning that you all made to protect the district and the taxpayers has been great. So I'm pretty much dealing with okay, we're here now, and as a public entity, that I was just concerned, but I'm not any longer. I'm just concerned as how does it look in 2022 if we've got this bloated wad of cash or however you want to say it, and then we're going to go ahead. We're thinking about how do we levy taxes for the following years and things like that. So I'm sure that these are the things, this is why y'all get paid the big bucks to figure this stuff out, because I wouldn't be able to do that with my education. So that's basically.
And first Cal's point, I think it'll be, the next few months will be very telling as to where we are with our financial forecast for the next 5 to 10 years, as well as our capital projects. So, but well said. I think, we're in a good spot, but it doesn't mean we don't have a lot of deferred maintenance.
Okay.
Okay, good. Any other questions for our finance director? Hearing none. Thank you, Marilyn. That was very good report. We appreciate all the hard work, as everybody's been saying.
You're welcome.
So we'll go now to approval, unfinished business, approval of the Park Avenue boat launch and wave protection replacement project proposal. Director Smith.
All right, thank you very much. Can everyone see my screen?
I do.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So at the June 8th workshop meeting, staff reviewed proposal from Smith Group for the replacement of the Park Avenue boat launch and wave protection. And at that meeting, we really focused on phase 1 of that 4-phase proposal, and the board did approve moving forward with phase 1. And I will report that we had the Smith Group out at Park Avenue today working on that survey, and they'll be back out tomorrow to complete that part of the project. So this evening, I'm going to talk about the entire proposal, primarily focusing on phase 2. But as I mentioned, it's a 4-phase proposal. So phase 1, which is what we are currently under contract with Smith Group for right now, the data collection phase. And in brief summary, that's going to be a site survey, collecting information, and developing some base maps that will be utilized for the entirety of the design process, eventually leading us to construction documents. And phase 2 is preliminary engineering. I will talk about it a little more in depth in a moment, but this would provide us preliminary engineering documents. Phase 3 is final engineering and permitting. So in this third phase, those documents would basically develop into construction documents that would be biddable documents. And also in that phase, there would be a formal submittal of the permitting applications for the project. Finally, phase 4, bidding services. This would be assistance from Smith Group during the bidding phase. That would be issuing of the addendum, answering questions from potential contractors, also reviewing bids, attending a pre-bid meeting, and various things like that. So as I said, phase 2 is what I wanted to focus on this evening. I will say this is what staff are recommending that the board approve moving forward with Smith Group at this point. So for phase 2, the first task, 2.1, project initiation meeting, is exactly what it sounds like, essentially a kickoff of the design phase of this project, meeting with Smith Group and staff to kind of set the parameters, talk about the project and move forward with the actual design of this concept 7. Task 2.2, a basis of design document. This would be from conversations and meetings with staff and Smith Group about some parameters of this structure, as well as they'd also be taking data from the survey. And this document would basically outline the conditions of the site. It would detail or provide some information, I should say, on the chosen design. It would also establish project goals and detail the performance criteria and limitations. So kind of like a guiding document for the project, but somewhat of a living document too. Task 2.3, preliminary engineering documents. So at this point, they would be providing the Park District with these preliminary documents, kind of a first draft, and they'd be reviewed by the Park District, and we would be providing comment, which they would then come back to us. The next task, 2.4, at this point, Smith Group would be reaching out to regulatory agencies. They would be a likely meeting on site with these agencies to discuss the permitting requirements, sharing these preliminary engineering documents with them to get an understanding of what the requirements might be for permitting. And then Smith Group would return to the Park District at a board meeting, and at that point would be presenting on these documents and also be presenting on updated cost estimate and more detailed information about permitting requirements and the timeline for the overall project. And finally, we would receive incorporated comments from staff and from the park board. We would receive these preliminary engineering documents from Smith Group. So as far as the length of time that this phase will take, task 2.1 to 2.4, which is essentially bringing us to the meeting with regulatory, it's going to be approximately 8 weeks. And then task 2.5 and 2.6, which was the board presentation and the submittal of the final documents, would be an additional 2 weeks. So we're looking at about 2.5 months for this phase. As far as the fee for this phase, as we discussed, it's $44,000. And just kind of to sum it up, I'll say, as we've said in previous meetings, staff feel very strongly that moving forward with this is critical at this time. This is really the phase where we're going to clearly move from concept to more of an engineered design, but it's really where we're going to get a lot of questions answered. A lot of what we're wondering, we're going to get a much better understanding, updated opinion of probable cost, and get a much better understanding of what the likely construction cost for this would be. We'll also have a better understanding of our permitting, that timeline. In the concepts, this option 7 is listed as anticipated to be 8 to 10 months for permitting. However, it's possible that could actually be less. Once we start to work with the permitting agencies and be able to provide them with a little more of a detailed design, they're going to be able to provide their opinion on what route we would need to go. And it is possible that could be less than the 8 to 10 months. Also, the construction timeline, we'll get a much better understanding of what that might look like and be able to get an understanding of when we would be able to do this. We certainly have been getting a lot of questions about when this can be completed. And those kind of questions will start to be answered at that time. And lastly, as mentioned, we are certainly looking at grant opportunities, in particular the Illinois Department of Natural Resources Boat Access Grant Program, which is anticipated to be released next month and due at the end of August. And in order to apply for this grant and other grant opportunities, we would need a much more detailed design along the lines of this preliminary engineering to submit a successful application. So with that said, just say that staff are recommending that the park board approve entering into a contract with Smith Group for phase 2 of this proposal. Are there any questions?
Let me lead off with one question on the timeline. And this is just to get a focus for other questions. My count of the weeks that are involved indicates that until September, we might not have the full engineering call within the preliminary engineering definition. So what do we need and when would we have to have it by to apply for the grant?
So the grant application is due at the very end of August, so the 31st. So this is something we have spoken to Smith Group about. We are aware of our intentions to apply for this grant, assuming that it follows this timeline. And so they feel comfortable and we feel comfortable that if we move forward at this time, we will have adequate information to submit a successful application for this grant. You're correct, we won't have to finalize this whole phase, but we feel we will have made enough progress that we'll have something that we can include.
Okay. All right, that was my preliminary question. So why don't we start with questions from Terry?
Thanks. Just a couple. What is the downside? What's the worst thing that could happen to our $44,000 investment if we discontinue the lease? I guess, we're taking some risk by doing this. So I just wanted to be above ground here and above board. What is our risk with this money?
So I guess the largest risk, as you said, is we didn't move forward with the lease and possibly chose not to construct this breakwater and reconstruct the boat ramp, that we would essentially be out these funds for the engineering of this. But I would say that I feel that it doesn't mean that this money would be completely wasted. There's potential that if this project were to be picked up in the future, we could utilize some of that information. I would say once again, really on the other side, really the value of it is getting an understanding. We're just, like I said, we're just at a concept right now. It's really getting an understanding of what that commitment's going to be, move forward with the next phase in construction, and getting an understanding of what that length of time is really going to be.
Okay, thank you.
Jen?
I don't know if I feel like I have a good grasp of this, and we've spent quite a bit of time sort of researching different options and things like that. But I do want to just say that I feel pretty strongly that we have an amenity that's not currently functional, and moving forward with this, right? The plans don't expire, as Jeff just mentioned, so that if something were to come up, I mean, there's two pieces here, right? We don't have necessarily have perpetuitous access to this property, so there's some question about adding amenities to it, but then also, is the project perhaps that we want to do funded? And I think we have really good momentum on both of these things from my understanding. And we need to just keep moving forward. And if we don't do this, we're going to lose a lot of time. And I don't think that's the spot that I'd like to be in. So I don't have questions, but that's just, I just wanted to sort of say how I feel about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brian Kaplan.
I would echo what Commissioner Grossberg, Commissioner Freeman said. I too have, I don't know how comfortable I feel doing the work down there until we have the lease. But I feel comfortable that we will get something worked out with the city, and I feel comfortable enough that we need to move forward with this and at least get the plans started.
Okay, let me just jump in and ask a simple question before we go to Cal. If we run into a problem midway in this process, can we stop or are we committed to the full $44,000?
No, we would not get billed for any work that they didn't do. So there may be certain phases where it may be easier to stop those. But if I honestly I'm not sure what the situation would be that would cause us to stop, but if the board directed us to terminate that contract, we could do it. And most, like I said, it would most likely be the circumstance that we'd only be billed for the time that they did conduct. However, we would be left with a not complete end product.
Okay, all right, that's what I was wondering. Cal?
I don't have any questions. I'll reserve my comments to when there's a motion pending.
All right, my questions have been answered because I interrupted very rudely, and I apologize. So, is there a motion for Executive Director Romes to enter into an agreement with the Smith Group, one word, for Phase 2 preliminary engineering of the Park Avenue boat launch and wave protection replacement project proposal in the amount of $44,000?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. So now it's discussion on the motion. Cal, you reserved comments for this point in time, I believe.
Yes, and I appreciate all of the comments of my fellow commissioners. I'm looking at this in a different lens. Since I've been on the board, I've been a big proponent of boating and allowing access at Park Avenue. I've supported that. I am optimistic that eventually we will be able to reopen that facility for the public's use, and we will reach an accommodation agreement with the city on how that's going to be accomplished. However, I am hesitant to invest funds into the facility without a funding model showing how we're going to be able to pay for implementing the plans that are going to be derived from this preliminary engineering. The analogy I would look at is if we're building a house, we hire an architect to put together architectural plans, but we don't know how we're going to pay for the house. And so I'm optimistic that we'll eventually get there, but we're not there yet, so I can't support the motion.
Okay. Brian, any comments on the motion? Any further discussion?
Nothing that wouldn't be repetitive of what I've already said or would have said by Commissioners Freeman and Grossberg.
Okay. Terry?
No, I'm good.
Jen?
I did think about the house analogy because I have done this in my own life and have done due diligence and paid for it to determine whether or not, like a feasibility study or something like that. But there are a lot of other things in play, and it's not just my house, it's everyone's house, so to speak. And there are other things that hinge on it. There's the support of the community. There are people who would be using this property that haven't because it's been in disrepair. There are people who are potentially willing to contribute to it. And there are grants and things that we can't get unless we take a step forward. So I think that there is value also in putting this out there to the community that we have, again, like I've said previously, skin in the game and willing to really check this out. And I see a lot of delay if we don't do it. And so I am very much feeling in support of this step.
Okay. Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein,
Nay.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
I vote yes also. The motion carries. We will go now to the Preserve of Highland Park signage standards. Director Gagola to present. No.
You're muted.
Liz?
Muted.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yay. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen.
We see it.
All right, so this evening I wanted to review with the board our branding and signage standards that have been developed for the preserve of Highland Park. And as you all know, the preserve is a very unique piece of property. It will certainly be a unique destination for our residents as well as regional visitors. So because of that, we worked with our natural areas department to develop a unique set of signage standards and branding for the preserve that we felt really reflected the uniqueness of the property and really to give it the presence that it deserves. So as part of the research that we did for this project, we looked at some of the colors that naturally occur at the preserve throughout the different seasons. Certainly green is prevalent in the trees and the grasses, the darker shades of blacks and grays and bark, beautiful pops of color in some of the flowers that come up in the summer and into the late fall that are eggplant colors and beautiful yellows, and then some of the colors of the grasses that are more of the kind of weedy umber colors. So we took the colors into consideration, as well as we also looked at some of the really, again, I'll use the word unique, nature that comes to the preserve, and the cranes, the beautiful sandhill cranes who have taken up residence there are really, what we thought was, again, a unique aspect of the preserve and something that we really wanted to maximize their presence and into the branding. We also looked at some of the historical imagery that's been done for many of our national parks. So kind of combining all of those elements together, the colors, the cranes, some of the beautiful historic imagery from the national parks, it really sort of led us to an era in art, which was the Art Nouveau era. It's a very beautiful, elegant era in art that we felt really reflected everything that the preserve is about in terms of its natural beauty, and also that we could translate easily into graphic design. So this is the word mark, or as you might call it, the logo for the preserve that we'll be using throughout the preserve and in marketing. So that would be in the signage and the marketing pieces. So it's the Preserve of Highland Park. This would be the fonts that we would use. We also came up with an interesting icon that you'll see we'll be using throughout the signage. It's a kind of a shield-shaped outline with a beautiful, elegant P in the center, and that will be used on the signage throughout the preserve. It really will allow the visitors, as they're wandering through the different areas of the preserve and through the trails, let them know that they're still in the preserve when they see the signage. So the P will be repeated on all of the signage as they move throughout the property. So this is an example of what the main entrance signs would be. These are the welcome signs that would be at all of the major entrances of the preserve. The signs are outlined by this beautiful, almost kind of bronzy color. The preserve at the top, which has the logo or word mark that are flanked by the beautiful cranes, and then the beautiful kind of wavy looking, elegant looking grasses. And then within the welcome sign will be visitor information that we would normally see on our welcome signs, some introductory information, and then also a map that shows the different amenities as well as the trails throughout the property. And at the very bottom of the sign is the shield of that I discussed earlier. That's the P shield that you'll see repeated in much of the signage. Then this is a secondary entrance welcome sign. So these will be at some of the smaller entrances into the property. Again, we have the beautiful, elegant grass type graphics that with the cranes that flank the logo, visitor information. These would be smaller signs that wouldn't have the maps on them. But again, we have the repeated P shield at the bottom. So those will go at secondary entrances that come into the property. So this is how the signs will look. They're very simple, very similar to the welcome signs and other signage that we have throughout the Park District right now. It's called post and board. So the posts will be just a plain, solid, bronzy color that matches the background of the actual signs themselves, and all of the graphics then will be printed on the signs. So this is just an example then of what our entrance plaza would look like. We will have the monument signs that reflect the same type of signage standards that we currently have today for our facilities and our parks, that would state the preserve of Highland Park. But once you get into the preserve, the signs will reflect the designs that I just showed you now. And then also at the main entryway would be the larger welcome sign with the map. Then this is an example of the interpretive signs. These signs will be located at the various amenities, at the entrances of those amenities. It will give information on some of the natural features of the particular amenity. There'll be some illustrations and some photography, and on many of them we'll also have a QR code that people can scan to get more information on the particular nature and natural areas that you would see within that particular amenity. Again, that would be, the P would be repeated at the bottom of the sign. And then also the signs for the amenities will have these removable headboards is what I call them, or backboards. If we were to get sponsors for a particular amenity, the backboard would be able to accommodate that. So we'd be able to take these off of the interpretive signs and easily replace them if we do have down the road sponsors or gifting organizations for the different amenities. But if we don't, the backboard would just have the name of the particular amenity across the backboard. And again, the P would be repeated at the top of the backboard. Our path and mile marker signs, again, we'd have the P repeated. All of our trails would be color coded as they are right now. One of the things that we're hoping that we'll be able to utilize, there are golf ball, I guess, washing stations that were at the Highland Park Golf Course that we've been able to save. And our hope is that we'll be able to utilize these as path and mile marker signs. They're a dark black metal, and they have these, really, kind of beautiful decorative finials at the top. So these would be used then at different points where paths may, split off to give people directions on which path they want to go to. And again, the P would be repeated on these mile marker signs, again, just to give people a sense of presence that they're still within the preserved property as they're walking through. And then this is just kind of the hierarchy of signage. Again, the monument sign would be at the entry plaza. The welcome signs, the larger signs that are about 5 feet high, would be located at our main entry points. The smaller signs would be located at secondary points. We have our trail markers and wayfinding signs, our interpretive signs, and then of course there would be the regular hazard type signs that we typically use right now in our parks. So that is the hierarchy of the signage. Any questions?
Terry, you want to start?
I really don't have any questions. Well, we let me first start with, I think it's beautiful. And, I love the color scheme. I love the throwback style of the signs. There's a little cognitive dissonance with the brand new signage. Now, you're saying that would be where? Our typical sign like we have at Sunset Valley, whatever. Where would the first person see that?
The monument sign, are you speaking of?
Yeah.
That would be at the entry plaza, at the very entrance of the preserve, the main entrance.
Okay. But that's the only time they're going to see that sign. Is that sign going to be up north by Half Day Road up there? Is it going to be anywhere else?
This would actually be at the entrance of the preserve, I think. Are you talking more kind of roadway type signage?
Yeah.
That I think we'll have to discuss. I do know that there is currently in the large sign with the rec center that's on Park Avenue West. So I think there'll have to be some discussions, I believe, with the city on what will happen with that sign. But this sign will actually be as you're entering into the preserve from the parking lot at the rec center.
Mm-hmm. And you just, after looking at it, you don't have any problem with the directional signs, like the one that's on the right, being so different from our more modern sign.
No, I think this is, again, it's a very unique property, and it is something that's very typically done for larger parks and natural areas at other park districts and forest preserves to give them kind of a unique look and feel. And of course, the park district logo will be on all of these signs as well to make sure that we have that connection with the park district. But I think it's very typical for a very large, unique area like the preserve to have its own signage standards associated with it.
Terry, are you expressing or questioning the fact that the marquee sign is in that location in addition to our new branded signs?
No, I mean, I think people need to know where they're going once they get to the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's just visually how different it is. One is saying 2020 and the other says 1920. So that's it. I mean, I'm not criticizing it. Although by me bringing it up, it kind of sounds like I am. I'm just asking about philosophy of it. That's all. So.
Okay. Jen, do you have any comments or observations?
No, I like it a lot. And the more I've sat with this since the first time we saw it, I really like it. The dissonance part that I had was just more about the backer board and whether or not we could explore maybe like a more old timey or font driven or some sort of more controlled logo for the sponsor kind of thing. Like instead of using their logo, could we just say who it was and put a little plaque or something like that? But that's something that doesn't need to be decided right now. That was the part where I kind of dissonance. And I would love to see these monument signs or whatever we're calling them everywhere. Cause I think that those strike me as I know where I am now that I'm in Park District territory. And then to get around the property is this other thing. So I love it. And it's grown on me since the first time I saw it. And I've, kind of thought about some things. So I love it. Thank you for all the work that went into that.
Brian?
I gave my comments to Liz before when she presented this the first time. I understand the need for sponsors. I just hope that we don't overdo it and that we don't have sponsorship logos on everything and everywhere. As I have in the past, I liken this to a race car driver, and I'd rather the Park District not be the race car driver while understanding the need for funds. Otherwise, I think it's great.
Cal?
Can you bring up the slide with the hierarchy of the signs, please?
Sure.
Okay. I know that over the last couple of years, we've made a great effort to try to create some consistency with the district with our monument sign. We just put a new monument sign in Hidden Creek, and when Sunset Valley was redone, we did that. I just want to expand upon what Terry asked, but maybe ask it a little different way. Is there a reason why there are multiple styles of signage in this at the preserve, and how does this compare to the signage that we have at Heller currently?
I believe that the signs at Heller have been there for quite a while, at least before my time. I believe that they are very similar in construction and format with the map and then the visitor information. I believe it just says Heller Nature Center at the top. I don't believe there is use of the logo. I think the logo was developed after those signs had been put up. But those signs have been there for quite a while, and they don't have the graphic type outline like these signs do, with the cranes and the kind of the grassy swirls that again reflects the Art Nouveau era. So it's a little different from a graphic standpoint, but I think the elements are not far off from what's
What about as to the philosophy of having different color schemes throughout the park?
Throughout the preserve?
Well, yeah, because you have the monument signs different than the welcome signs, different from the interpretive sign, different to the trail mark sign. All of them are different. What's the philosophy by having all of them different?
So the philosophy is that when you first come up to the preserve and you see the monument sign, which is the same design that we currently have for all of our parks, that lets you know that this is a familiar place. It's a Park District of Highland Park property. Once you are in the park, again, the graphic design is very similar on the inside part of the welcome sign to what we currently have. It's just the outside part with the preserve of Highland Park at the top and the graphics at the top that are different. The secondary welcome sign is also very similar to what we currently have in terms of the information that's provided. It's the graphic elements and the colors that are different. The colors for the welcome sign will be the same colors that are for the trail markers and the wayfinding signs. So those will be in the same family. And then also the interpretive signs will have the dark purple color, which is what you see also in the P and on the logo at the top of the welcome signs, and also the P on the trail marker signs. So it is a family of colors. We also were trying to find a family of colors that reflected some of the natural colors that we see, and also will not be too garish in all seasons. So it'll still look nice in the spring and the fall and the summer, and even in the winter months. They won't be too garish, I guess is the right word.
So what's the philosophy of using what you call a family of colors instead of a color scheme that's consistent with the monument signs?
The color scheme for the monument sign.
I'm just talking about the philosophy, why you have different colors. That's my question. I'm trying to ask the question.
Why are the internal signs a different color than what we currently are using for the park district?
My question is, why is there's multiple colors on these signs? Why did you decide it's philosophy to have multiple colors depending on what the signs are instead of one consistent color throughout the park?
Just to give it some interest and some unique feel, that all of the entry signs would be this bronzy color, and that all of that would be the main color, and that the purple would be the main color for the interpretive signs.
And why were those colors chosen?
Because those are colors that naturally occur at the property. The purples of the purple flowers and the golden colors of the grasses and the yellow flowers that come up naturally in the park during the summer and fall and early spring seasons.
Okay, I mean, this is not my area, but my concern is the inconsistency of the color scheme. I get the signage. I'm a big proponent of the color scheme for our monument signs. I think it looks great. The new sign at Hidden Creek, I think looks awesome. And also when you pull into Sunset Valley, it looks great. My concern is that the signs will not blend in. They'll actually be, I think, I guess the word I'm looking for is to distract and not be, I would want to see signs that are, I'm just speaking for myself. I mean, what do I know about this stuff? But is that you'd want things more to blend in rather than to stick out. I think the monument sign does that. I'm not so sure the bronze sign and the purple signs do that, but this is your guys' area. I just don't want a situation where we have like blue seats in Comiskey Park and then 10 years later we're replacing them with green seats. Those are my comments.
Understand.
Well, so let me understand a couple things, Liz. By the way, I'm not going to quarrel with the colors. Where will the two welcome signs will go at all entrances to the preserve?
Yes, and
okay.
Yes.
But going to the picture you showed at the beginning, that shows the monument sign and the welcome signs. Could you go back to that picture just for a moment?
Sure.
And I like the style and color. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, I understand the monument sign where it is. Is the trail sign located where it is in reality, or is this just a representation? Because it seems like it's very upfront and it's almost in the way of walking through it. So is that going to be back somewhere? Have you located it yet?
No, this is just a representation.
All right. So the idea then is when it's located, it will not be as much in your face.
Yes.
Okay. That was it. And this goes to how many entrances to the preserve are there that will have this sign?
The welcome sign?
Yeah, the one with the map on it. Yeah.
The welcome sign, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you and Rebecca were looking at about 3 or 4 entrances with the larger sign, and then I believe maybe 2 or 3 others that the small sign would be located at more the secondary entrances.
Okay, so we'll have a sign coming out from this main entrance. We'll have a sign, I assume, coming out of the Golf Learning Center.
I believe so, yes, and I believe that will be, if I remember correctly, a larger sign.
Okay, and then the other 2 will be located obviously where there are entrances, and I can't tell you I know exactly where those are right now.
Yes, I believe there's an entrance by the Legacy Club, and then there is also a smaller entrance that's off the bike path to the east.
Okay.
And that would be one of the secondary.
All right, so the idea is that will present you with, here's where you're coming, it's a preserve, and come in, and
yes.
here are the trails. Okay, I'm good with that. What I also don't understand, the monument sign. We are having an entrance for people to come in from Route 22. And I think we should announce at that entrance that this is the preserve of Highland Park, and not just keep this monument sign down here from the Park Avenue entrance.
Say that again, Barney.
Well, there is access to the preserve from Route 22.
Oh, right.
And I think we need to say to the public, this is an entrance to the preserve of Highland Park from 22.
Yeah.
So what
I
I'm
believe-
saying, I'm just saying we should have a monument sign, even if it's a little smaller in design, but we should have one from the entrance off 22.
Yeah, we can take a look and put together a full map of what signs will go where and talk about it at the
Okay.
Parks and Natural Areas Committee. I know we have to still do that additional path work too off of Compton. So
Yeah, let's not talk about that right now.
that may play that.
All right. So then, Liz, I have really going back to, that's logistics. On the sign that we have that's in display now, the one thing that was bothering me about the text is that there's too much reference to the Highland Park Country Club. And I don't know why we've got it repeated a couple times in that first opening paragraph. I mean, to tell the history. I mean, it's telling the history, but I don't even know why we tell the history the way we're telling it.
That's on the signs that are existing?
No, it's on the one that you're showing us now. That's the bronze and with the map.
Oh, the text that's on there is just for placement. This isn't any of the real text it was just to put some text there to give it some placement, just to kind of show you how the text would be laid out.
Okay. Because when I was reading what you had there, I was going Highland Park Country Club, HPC. We don't. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, I apologize for that. This was just for placement purposes only.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm other than those little nits and gnats and thoughts, I'm fine. I think these signs add a certain je ne sais quoi to the preserve. I think it's well done.
Great. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. All right. Parks Foundation update. Terry, you're going to present this time?
I think Liz is going to present because Terry was not at the last meeting. So.
Okay, we're back to Liz.
So the Parks Foundation June meeting was last Tuesday. And during the meeting, the board provided several updates. There was an overview of what was brought in from the Youth Golf Development Center outing. And I believe the outing netted, I believe it was $26,000, just over $26,000. It was a great event. They were very thrilled with how the event went, their ticket sales and being out on the golf course and working with the golfers. So they were very, very excited about that event and everything that occurred to get the Youth Golf Development Center open and functioning. So, and from what I understand, there are a lot of golfers that are out there utilizing it and a lot of youth golf lessons that are taking place. So it was a great success in the foundation's eyes, and certainly wonderful for them to have their first capital campaign under their belts. Also the board has now a student board that had their first function or fundraising event a couple of weeks ago. It was a pickleball tournament, and there were I was out there with the students and some of my staff and some of our foundation members, and it was a great day. We raised $750, and that will go towards camp scholarships for summer camp. And we had several players come up to the students and say, we certainly hope that you, as a student board, do this again in the fall. And they offered their assistance to help out soliciting players and hopefully making it a larger event and something that happens every year. So that was a great thing. The other event that's coming up soon is the Firecracker 5K. It will be a walk, bike, or run on your own. The registrations are taking place now. We have some great prizes for anyone who enters. So I certainly encourage you and your family, if you haven't registered for that event, please do so. It's a great fundraiser for the Parks Foundation. They did it last year during COVID, and it was a great way to raise funds for scholarships. And that event, you can do it at any time over the 4th of July holiday weekend. And the marketing committee for the Parks Foundation also developed a PowerPoint presentation that provides a great overview for the foundation, and they'll be using that for presentations with organizations like the Rotary and Chamber of Commerce to continue to build awareness and spread the word about the great work that the foundation does.
Great.
Can I just ask something about the golf, the chipping area? They did put up that beautiful sign, which is magnificent. I mean, just what a tribute to Joel. And I had two separate people come up to me and ask and tell me they were hesitant to use it because they weren't sure if it was free to use or not. So I'm not sure if anybody else has gotten that comment, but I think, you know, maybe there should be something there that, or I don't know, just throwing that out.
We will pass that along to our golf staff. Thank you.
Okay. Shall we go to Executive Director Rome to present the director's report?
Yes, thank you very much, President Ruttenberg. I do have some important updates. One of the most important updates is that the governor's executive order regarding virtual meetings is going to expire at the end of this week. That means starting next week, all of our committee and board meetings will be in person and subject to the Open Meetings Act rules prior to COVID. So the old rules are back in place. We have our own policy for remote attendance if necessary, but it is not similar to what it has been over the past year. So our meetings will be in person. Our next one coming up is the first regular workshop is July the 13th. We have some committee meetings before that on July the 8th, which is for the lakefront. And we also, not in person, but do have a facility committee meeting this Thursday at 4 p.m. And a little bit of a, well, first, are there any questions about that? Just want to make sure the board is well aware of that. And
Are we going to meet in the multi-purpose room?
I believe we're going to be in the boardroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Thursday's meeting's at West Ridge, correct?
This Thursday is still virtual right now.
Oh, it is. Okay. Okay.
The last one.
All right.
So then, on a little bit of a lighter side, I want to congratulate Commissioner Freeman for completing her new commissioner boot camp class last night. She is now certified for the requirement of the Opens Meeting Act as well. So.
And certified or certifiable?
Both. 100% both.
So congratulations to her. And then just want to note some exciting things going on operationally. Yesterday was the longest day of the summer. It was the summer solstice. We had a fun yoga event at Rosewood Beach. I think about 40 people registered to enjoy that at Rosewood Beach. And equally, if not more exciting, summer camp started yesterday. So it is absolutely just one of the most exciting things to once again see children in our facilities and parks and our camp counselors back for the summer. It's just, it's invigorating. It's exciting to see it all happening. So we're really excited about that. Coming up, we do have a drive-in movie this Thursday. It's a first of many coming up this summer, and it's going to be The Goonies. So if you're a Goonies fan, it's 7:45 at the Rec Center in the parking lot. You can register online. We do have 4th of July coming up. As everybody knows, we're not doing the 4th Fest or the parade, but we do have a variety of activities you can find on our website. We are doing the 5K race. It is on your own, so it's not in a big setting, but the foundation is doing that. We have a family boot camp class on July 3rd at 10:30 in the morning at the rec center. And then we have another drive-in movie that Saturday night. And then we have golf specials all weekend long. So please check out our website. And then there's a virtual fireworks and float at the aquatics park. So you can watch fireworks. They're just not real, but it's still fun. Other than that, I do want to mention we have an exciting event. It's called Unplug Illinois on July 10th. That's a Saturday. That's an IPRA statewide event. So what we are doing for that event, it's at Sunset Woods. The idea is put your phones away, unplug, get outside and play. And we're going to be doing some skateboarding events, some pickleball events, some water play, and some fitness activities, opportunity for people to come out and do this for free. Also going to be an opportunity for us to survey some people about what they would or would not like to see additionally into our master plan for the Sunset Woods Park. So there's actually a ton of stuff coming up the next month. So please check out our website. Summer is here and we're just very excited about that. So all good things in that regards. Happy to entertain any questions if anybody has any. Yes.
They raise, that's the hand raise, you see. Isn't there a pickleball tournament coming up?
So there is a national pickleball tournament that's on Labor Day weekend. So that's
Okay.
September, I believe, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
All right. And my final question, then Terry has his hand up. Are we doing the Polar Express this year?
We're just planning the fall brochure right now. I'm not sure about December yet.
Man.
You know.
Barney, I'm not so excited for winter. Let's keep it in summer.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
No, but we are doing a daddy-daughter luau at Rosewood Beach, so that's exciting. But we're not quite to winter yet. We're close, though. I think we're working on it.
Okay, thank you. Terry's got his hand up.
Yeah, when are the 2023 catalogs coming out? No, sorry. My question's about the Juneteenth celebration. Was there any report about how that went off?
Yeah, I mean, it went great. I was there for a little bit. Debbie Pierce was there. Representative Schneider was there. It was probably only about I don't know, maybe 100 or so people were there, but Jesse White Tumblers performed. That was, again, not run by the Park District, but we were a gracious host site for that event. Allowed them to have that event there that day. And so, you know, a couple speeches. It was very nice.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bernie?
Yeah,
I got two. Number one, I don't know if you mentioned it. If you did, I apologize, but we having the Firecracker baseball tournament this 4th of July weekend?
I'm sorry. So that is July 1st through 4th. I think there's 26 teams, ages 10 through 13U. So yes, we are. Very
Okay.
exciting.
And the second, I know Terry gets a lot of questions with regard to the Golf Learning Center or the Youth Learning Center. I get questions about 4th of July. I think maybe a joint statement with the city indicating everyone's asking me, you know, are there fireworks this year? And if we can message that out with the city and let everyone know what the city's plans are for the 4th of July, that'd be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure everybody was on email overload. There was a joint message, but we should do it again. That makes sense. You know, we get closer. We're in phase 5. People are asking that question. So that's great. Yeah, we will follow up on that. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
If there's no one else, any board comments about anything that we've discussed or that we should discuss? No one is indicating it. Do we have any members of the public online with us who wish to address the board?
We still have one attendee. I don't see a hand raised. Do you see a hand raised, Dan or Roxanne?
No, Joe does not have his hand raised.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Unless there is a member of the board that would like to have us go into a closed session for any purpose, I don't think that we will follow a second closed session.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries, and at 7:45 PM, we are adjourned.